A more pertinent question to ask about the word woke might be, why in such a short time has it gone from a rallying cry to a pejorative? If the word only made you think of rational, deserved causes like teaching a less whitewashed version of American history, AOC would still want to own it. But it's a joke because it makes you think of people who wake up offended and take orders from Twitter, and their oversensitivity has grown tiresome.
Bill Maher walked onto the stage with that half smirk he's famous for, the one that says, "You're not going to like what I'm about to say, but you'll laugh anyway." The audience cheered, the cameras rolled, and he wasted no time getting straight into it. "You know, I used to love the Democrats," he said, pacing a little. "I still want to love them. But lately, it feels like they're in an abusive relationship with Twitter, constantly apologizing for things they didn't even do." The crowd laughed, some clapping, some nodding. "They used to be the party of logic," he continued. "Now they're the party of language police. Every week it's, 'You can't say that.' And I'm like, okay, what can I say? Because apparently everything offends somebody now." Laughter echoed through the studio. There was a time when Democrats stood for the working class. But now they stand for the Wi-Fi class. You know, the people who live on the internet, correcting everyone else's behavior while they DoorDash their feelings. The crowd howled with laughter. The left used to be about freedom. Now it's about filters. You can't even make a joke without checking if it's been approved by the Diversity Board of Humor. The audience laughed again, some standing and clapping. The scary thing is, Democrats know it looks ridiculous. But they go along with it anyway. Because if they don't, the mob comes for them. The same mob they created. The crowd gasped and then cheered, sensing where he was going. They're terrified. You can see it in every politician's eyes. That look of panic when someone asks, "What's your stance on gender-neutral chess pieces?" The laughter was unstoppable. "This isn't liberalism. It's fragilism," Bill said, holding up a hand. "A belief system where being offended makes you right. You can't question, can't joke, can't think, unless you've read the latest activist memo." The audience clapped loudly. Democrats used to say, "We're the adults in the room." Now they are.
But you never hear anyone bragging about being a liberal. There's no liberal Bob Schmohawk as a liberal who wants to enact more liberal policies. Democrats might want to think about what that means, because the implication is you're embarrassed by what liberalism has become, that the term is now irredeemably coupled with woke nonsense, which is a shame, because despite their nonsense, it's still generally a better product. But what does it say about your brand if you don't want to say what you are?
Now they're the toddlers in the room, crying over pronouns while the country burns. The studio erupted in laughter. "I'm not saying Republicans have it all figured out," he added. "Half of them still think COVID was caused by wind turbines. But at least they're not afraid to talk." Democrats can't even say the word woman anymore without calling a press conference. The crowd was now laughing so hard some people were wiping their eyes. Bill leaned into the mic. When did progress become parody? When did caring turn into coddling? When did being liberal mean being humorless? People clapped, shouted, and cheered. "People used to come to the left for ideas," Bill said, pacing again. "Now they come for apologies. The Democrats have become the HR department of America, and no one likes HR. This isn't coming from the right," he continued. "This is coming from someone who believes in liberal values. I believe in equality, fairness, free speech. But what's happening now? It's groupthink with a rainbow logo. You can't save democracy by silencing people. You can't claim to be tolerant while you cancel anyone who disagrees. You can't call yourself brave while you hide behind hashtags." The applause grew stronger. You know what the average American wants? Sanity. They don't care about Twitter wars, identity quotas, or which cartoon character got canceled this week. They care about rent, groceries, and safety. But the Democrats? They're busy trying to rename food items. Pancakes are racist now. Aunt Jemima got fired before Congress did. The crowd burst into laughter. Here's a tip, Democrats. People vote with their wallets, not their hashtags. You can't keep lecturing the middle class about privilege when they're working 2 jobs and still can't afford gas. If Democrats want to win again, they need to stop caving to every fragile voice on the internet. Twitter isn't America. It's a digital asylum with Wi-Fi. He paused, smirking. You don't need to be woke.
So much of liberal politics nowadays is identity politics, and yet it seems we found the one thing liberals won't identify as: liberals.
To be aware, you don't need to cancel to care. And you don't need to act perfect to make progress. You just need common sense, which, these days, is the rarest thing of all. The audience stood and applauded, some cheering, some whistling. Bill raised his eyebrows, took a sip of water, and looked at the camera with that knowing grin. See? That's the problem with pretending to be perfect. Eventually, people realize you're just pretending. The music swelled as the camera zoomed out and the lights dimmed. Bill Maher smiled, shook his head, and said under his breath, God, I miss when liberals were fun. The applause grew louder, the studio lights flickered brighter, and the scene faded to black.